Hey everyone, I'm Brian. You're watching the Build a Place channel. This video, we're going to be working on these Sawhorses. I've had these things for many years. They've done a great job. I've done a lot of stuff with them. But I think it's time to kind of get them to stop wobbling and make them look a little bit better. I'm replacing the tops of all of them. I already cut the ones for here. These are 38 inches to work with the cutting frame that I have, because these original ones were 36, I think, and it just didn't sit, the cutting frame didn't sit quite right, so making these a little bit longer. I'm going to leave these natural. These brackets, the middle brackets, they work pretty good, but I want to do a little bit of something to make it so they work better, because as you put these deck screws in, they have a tendency to bend this top of this bracket, and so I'm going to clean them up a little bit, paint them probably a satin black in the legs. I want to cut all the legs for all the saws, make sure they're all the same exact length, so they're all, everything will line up right. I'm going to cut the bottom at a 15-degree angle so it lays on the floor right. And then I started painting these, but I'm going to paint them all this Christmas red. This will be a satin black, and that'll be this clear board. So let's get started tearing these things down, and we'll try to make them a little less wobbly. This one seems to be pretty stout, but all the rest of them seem like they're wobbly. They work great for straight down, but I just don't like a little wobbly old sawhorse. So let's make these sawhorses a little stronger, a little bit nicer looking. Okay, get started taking these screws out. I'm just going to continue taking these all apart. It's kind of boring. So I'll come back once I get these brackets all off and show you my progress. Okay, I'm down to the last one. So you can take the screws out here. Try to just keep them together while I'm taking them apart. Makes it a little bit easier. So like 2 more. Got both of those. Legs will fall out. When the top come off. Legs started. And we'll use the legs. Okay, the existing legs are 27 inches, so that's what I'm going to cut these. But just cut that 15-degree angle on the bottom of them all, so they all match. Some of these may be shorter, but they seem like they're coming at about originally the same length. So I'm just going to keep on cutting these out, and then we'll go to the next thing. So all the legs are all cut to the same length with the 15-degree angle cut at the bottom. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean these up on the sand again a little bit. May have to straighten up some places on them, but nothing really that much detail to show. Then I'm going to paint these a satin black, and we'll be back, or I'll be back after I get that done. Okay, I have the legs painted, and the brackets are kind of painted. It's flat black. They came out just okay. So they're ready to put together. So just reverse basically. They're a little tight now. That one. Get the bevels the right direction, that's kind of important. I gotta see both seated in. No, I'm not seated in all the way. From the floor, it's seated in. I'm using number 12s, which is pretty big, by 1.5 inches to go in these side pieces. screw all these down, and I know these are never going to come out. The other ones I had in there were drywall screws. Oh, I think number 6 drywall screws. So definitely not come out. So I'm going to finish screwing these in, and then we'll go to the next step of putting the cross piece on the top. Okay, I have the metal brackets all put on to the Sawhorse legs. The next thing is going to be putting on the top cross piece. I'm going to inset that 1.5 inches. Somewhere in those things that worked on the front side. I'm going to come in and inset that 1.5 inches from the edge to the metal bracket. But the problem I had when I built these originally is they give you these 2 holes for the screws, and as you tighten this down, it just keeps flattening out this bracket. So I came up with a little spacer that would go in that area, and it's cut off from a regular, end of a regular 2x4, and I have the size on the blackboard or the white marker board, so you can figure out how to cut this. It's just cut on a bandsaw, but it's, like I said, just a scrap piece of 2x4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, put it the flat side to the back, and the wedge side goes to this front, and place it in there. And then when I bring this board down and open it, it's going to pinch that wedge piece up under this area here. So when I tighten these screws down, it's going to have something back there to tighten up against. So I'm going to start making some of these. I made 2 of them so far, and it seems like they're going to work. And we'll make a couple of them, but we'll finish up this Sawhorse. Basically, that's all I'm going to show you is building this one Sawhorse, and then the rest will be the same exact thing. Give you a close-up of this wedge that I've made. It's 3.5 inches wide, so it fits the same spot. And this side here goes against the Sawhorse, and this follows the taper of that. So you basically just open this up and drop it down. It'll stop right where it needs to stop. And then kick the Sawhorse closed. And there's it's shimmed out now. So when you tighten this down, it has something to back it up. When I was doing the last segment, I saw something that didn't look right, and I didn't say nothing on the camera yet because I thought it was my brain wasn't thinking. But apparently the height from this edge to the top is different. I have ones that are 1 5/8 high, and this one's 2 1/8 inch high. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but it's definitely shorter. I just measured one and didn't look at all of them, but there's a slight variance on these. So I'm going to be making 2 different style wedges, 2 different heights. This is a sketch on the whiteboard of the wedge. If you notice here, I had 1 5/8, and this is 7/8, and that's 3/8 up there. That was for the smaller one. But the other one, the one you see circle 2 1/8 and 1/4 inch would go in here. That's for all the rest of them were that. There was only a couple of them that were this smaller, the smaller size that I have dimensions for, this wedge, and then it's just a standard 2x4 width, so it's 3.5 inches wide. I have this 2x4 marked out for the shorter wedges. I just put a block here on the edge to help keep the 2x4 as square as you can, because the bandsaw, it's kind of hard to keep this thing straight up and down. So I'll just start cutting out these wedges. have my wedges cut. So I'm just gonna stick there, and the flat side goes against the 2x4, and same with this. They may or may not stand. I have to put them in. I think I'm going to put them in the same time with the 2x4. So put the 2x4 in, hold this open, and that's going to be my mark there where I want it to go to. Get this side ready. Get 2 wedges for that. This is kind of difficult a little bit, trying to hold the wedges. I think it's kind of late in there, but I don't want to. Need 4 hands to do this. Okay, let me get back to my line. Let my line there. Pinch it in. I want my line there. Let me make sure that's my line. There's a mark there, but I can't tell for sure. Yeah, that's it. They look pretty straight. It's sitting nice and tight. I'm using number 12s by 2" for these mounting onto the top. So I'm going to drill this out a little bit because it's a little on the small side. And I'm going to drill through the spacer that we made, the wedge spacer, to kind of pre-drill that. But I don't want to go into the 2x4 for the top that. I think that's through. So just keep drilling these out. I'm only going to do these 2 for now. Just video, you don't need to watch me drill a bunch of holes. Okay, that's the last one. That Sawhorse is sturdy as can be. It don't move at all. That is stout. I like it. I think it's going to look good. I really like using sheet metal screws to hold this. I think it did so much better than the deck screws / drywall screws. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you like these type of videos, you can subscribe to my channel. And leave me comments. If you've seen something you like and you have questions or just plain comments, leave me comments. I'll try to reply back to any of the comments I get. It looks a lot different than when we started. These things are nice and strong. Then I go into where that wedge piece that I put in here, or I may see that wedge piece that I put in here really made a difference. I'm really happy with it, and using the long sheet metal screws, I don't think I'm going to have the same problems that I did with the other screws. They just were too small in my opinion, and these aren't that expensive. You can get these at your big box home improvement store. They stock the boxes, I guess, of 50. So $6–7 is all it costs. That's basically all the money I have tied up into these redo. You know, I just bought a little bit of paint, $6 for paint, $6. I think I bought 3 boxes of screws. That's $18. 24, and then the Christmas red paint I already had. I needed a couple 2x4s. I think those were running. I think they were in like $6 a piece. So for under $30, I guess I rebuilt these Sawhorses and put my little logo in front of it. So if you want to see how I did the logo, I'm going to show that after this ending. So just stay on the channel and you can see how I painted in my logo. I'm planning to add the logo for my YouTube channel on the Faces 204, but I did this on the other 2x4 for the first sawhorse I made, and I got some bleeding underneath the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to seal this area up just where I want to put the decal. So that'll seal the pores of the wood, so hoping that eliminates a lot of that bleeding. Cover up the pores a little bit, so just going to spray a light coat of this clear. I got from the Ace, it's the cloth. I wanted the matte, but they couldn't find a matte, so. That should be good. We'll let this dry about a half an hour, and then after that dries, then I'm going to show you how I install the decal, which is I'm using it as a stencil. The clear finish is now dry, but it did raise the grain a little bit, so I'm just going to take a Scotch-Brite pad and kind of knock that edge off to get it smooth again. I'll let it sit maybe about a half an hour. And also I was on break and I cut this stencil out to the exact width of the 2x4, so I can just lay it right in there, and then I have the center mark for the stencil and the center mark on the 2x4 mark, so I'm just going to lay that right on there. A piece of masking tape. I'm just going to wrap this around approximately the middle without moving anything. I'm trying not to move anything, try to keep it all square. Pretty much still square. So now I'm going to take the backing paper off of the stencil since I found my X-Acto. So I should be able to get that backing off. There's the transfer paper. So I get back to the backing. I think I got it. Yep. Okay, I'm going to cut the backing off right about here. Get out of the way. And bring it straight over. And squeegee that half, or approximately that half of the stencil, and take this tape off. That way. And the decal up, get that back paper off of the other half. That one letter wants to stick. There it came off. Okay, get it straight up over it. Have a little tension on it. Slowly bring it down. It appears to be nice and flat, no wrinkles. So let me take the transfer paper off next. There again, just kind of pull it off to the side, less chance of pulling any of the image up. Appear to do good. Get this out of the way. Since it's cool in the shop, I'm going to take the heat gun and kind of go over this and warm it up a little bit. So that vinyl to get soft a little bit. Then I take and use parchment paper. Just put a piece of parchment paper over it. And then you can push it down into the, and get this edge mounting. That edge wrap it around. This is nice and tight. Now it's ready to finish masking. Use this brown packing tape. Go up on this top edge. Let me get this edge first. Come across here. Get this edge right there first. And then just wrap the excess around. Same on this side. Get that edge nice and good. And then wrap it around. And 2 little pieces on the end here. Good, so you know, I'm going to give you overspray on the wood. Oh shoot. Little piece there. I know I probably won't get overspray. Well, that piece won't even work. But I'll put it there. Probably won't get overspray that far out. If I get a little bit overspray that far out, I'll just you can just take a sander and sand that. Now it's ready to have the first coat of the color I'm going to pick is garden green. So I put it in a shaker, paint shaker, and put that in. This thing will shake the whole table and all, so just gotta go kind of slow. That should be good to get all those tools and everything out of the way. This out, it should be ready to go. I'll do a test spray just on the mat. Looks like it's good. For this coat, it's just going to be a light coat. And then I'm going to let it sit for a little bit and put another coat. So basically, I'm just going to put a misting of this green over top of this. Okay, that's all that I want to do for this first coat. I'll let that dry and come back in a little bit and we'll put another coat over top. This way, this will kind of seal those edges. Even though we put the clear on there, it's not perfectly flat. So the more paint I put on there, the more it could take a chance of wicking underneath my stencil. So we just let that dry. This paint, I'm pretty sure it was you can let it sit for up to 2 hours, but you had to, if you let it sit over 2 hours, then you had to wait 48 hours before we put another coat on it. I can't read that good right now, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. So we're going to let it sit for about a half an hour, then we'll come back for another coat on it. We're going to apply one more coat, another light coat of green to this, and then let that dry for another half an hour. I'm going to apply the final coat of paint on this. That piece came out a little bit, the masking did, but if it goes underneath there a little bit, beyond where I want it on the board, I can just take the sandpaper and sand that down, but this will be the final coat, and then we'll let this completely dry, and then I'll take the stencil off. So we want to build up a good layer of the green. We don't want to see anything bleeding through. That looks like a really good heavy layer. We'll let that completely cure, like I said, and then I'll start pulling the decal off and expose how it turned out. I allowed the paint on this stencil to dry overnight, so now I'm just going to take all the masking off. Here's what I got underneath. See the dry paint is laying on top of there. Just brush that off. Crinkle off that tape. Okay. Just brush that excess off. Looks like I got a little bleeding here where I didn't tape it too good. But all that we can just take and scrape it or sand that edge there. That's not a big deal. So we'll start taking this outline off first, then we'll work on the letters. Seems pretty crisp for the most part, unlike the other stencil that I did with when I didn't seal the wood. The other one looks more like a old style stencil where it bleeds underneath, and this is more crisp. Didn't turn out too bad, I'd say. But the trick is to seal that light, especially that very first coat. Make it very light so it'll seal all around these edges of this vinyl. And then it minimize that bleeding, because if you paint the whole thing, the paint will push down and it'll push underneath the vinyl stencil. It's done. Just, let's see, was that piece? Not just chip of paint. There's a chip of paint. Just have a little bit of bleeding. Just like, I think it's chips of paint, but just a little bit of bleeding here where I didn't have the tape down really good. And then you can see it's a little bit glossy where I sealed it. You could sand that out if you wanted, or you could just finish the whole board with that gloss. You know, could have done it either way. I wanted it to be that dull look, so I'll probably just take it. Maybe, well, I probably won't do anything, but I can just sand that off and make that back to the natural wood. So that's how I make stencils for wood.